digital haze, looking for love in modern days. 21st Century Dating Decoded, the official Speed Mingle Podcast. Yeah, 21st Century Dating Decoded, the official Speed Mingle Podcast.
Welcome to 21st Century Dating Decoded, the official Speed Mingle Podcast. The only show that dissects the modern jungle of swiping, ghosting, and situationships, giving you the field guide you actually need. Now, here's your host, the man who has seen it all and swiped through most of it, Dawn. What is up, my beautiful people? Welcome back to the studio. If you are tuning in, you are likely trying to navigate the absolute wild, wild west that is the contemporary dating scene. And today, oh boy, today we are diving headfirst into a phenomenon that is as brilliant as it is borderline criminal. We've all heard of the standard dating archetypes. We know the serial monogamist, the ghost, the breadcrumber. But there is a new player in town, lurking in the high-end cocktail lounges and Michelin-starred bistros of your city. They aren't looking for love. They aren't even looking for a casual hookup. No, they are looking for the prime rib, the truffle fries, and a vintage Cabernet. And they want you to pick up the check. Welcome to the free Food Fling. Today's episode is all about a masterclass in culinary manipulation. The free Food Fling. Turning first dates into free dinners. We are pulling back the velvet curtain on the serial diners who have weaponized dating apps to completely eliminate their grocery bills. We're talking about the art of the gastronomic grift. How do you spot someone who is more attracted to the menu than they are to your personality? What are the subtle red flags that mean you're being scouted for your wallet, not your wit? The golden rule of the Food Fling: if they care more about the reservation availability than your actual availability, you might just be funding a foodie's fantasy. On today's menu, we have a packed episode for you today. We are breaking down the anatomy of a foodie bandit, how to decode a profile that's optimized for upscale dining rather than actual human connection, the wallet amnesia strategy, the psychological tactics used at the end of the night when the check arrives, and how to counter them without destroying the vibe. Listener horror stories. We read your submissions, including one listener who unknowingly funded a 4-course tasting menu for a date who left their ID in their other jacket and then blocked them before reaching the valet. Whether you've accidentally sponsored a stranger's lobster dinner or, hey, let's be honest, no judgment here, if you've used a dating app just because your fridge was looking a little empty on a Thursday night, this episode is for you. So pour yourself a drink, check your bank balance, and let's decode the free Food Fling. A compounding convergence of escalating living costs, systemic inflationary pressures, and protracted wage stagnation has catalyzed an unconventional, highly transactional strategy within the contemporary dating ecosystem: the conversion of initial romantic encounters into multi-day nutritional subsidies. This phenomenon reflects a broader behavioral shift, where individuals leverage the social conventions of courtship to secure immediate consumer goods. As structural economic pressures intensify, a critical question emerges: is the conventional, dinner-based first date facing systemic obsolescence? Consider the behavior of a 26-year-old marketing coordinator navigating contemporary dating applications. Her engagement with these platforms extends far beyond an assessment of interpersonal chemistry, alignment of values, or intellectual compatibility. Instead, she executes a calculated cost-benefit analysis of the proposed venue. By auditing online menus, cross-referencing price points, and evaluating the caloric density of specific culinary options, her approach mirrors asset evaluation rather than romantic anticipation. This individual belongs to an expanding, highly pragmatic demographic, participating in a socioeconomic trend termed the free Food Fling, or colloquially, the foodie call. The operational framework of this strategy is highly methodical. Secure an invitation to a premium dining establishment, engineer the ordering of excessive provisions under the rhetorical guise of communal dining, and systematically secure the surplus via premium packaging at the conclusion of the encounter. In the current economic climate, this functions fundamentally as a mechanism for resource optimization, notes one practitioner, while organizing multiple vacuum-sealed containers of artisanal pasta, roasted root vegetables, and premium proteins within her refrigerator. With localized residential rents appreciating by 40%, grocery inflation reaching unprecedented thresholds, and dating platform dynamics producing a surplus of counterparts willing to fully subsidize encounters to guarantee attendance, this behavior represents the exploitation of a distinct market inefficiency. I am optimizing my return on investment. A singular high-value dining engagement at a premium establishment effectively covers my nutritional overhead for multiple subsequent days. What was historically categorized as a severe breach of social etiquette, an opportunistic exploitation of a suitor for material gain, has been institutionalized, optimized, and disseminated across global digital networks. On micro-video platforms such as TikTok and Instagram, content tagged under hashtag free food fling and hashtag foodie call, routinely accumulates hundreds of millions of impressions. These digital dispatches feature creators documenting their culinary acquisitions, supplemented by granular, step-by-step tutorials detailing how to direct table conversations to maximize order volume without triggering defensive behaviors from their counterparts. The phenomenon of the free food fling operates as a highly visible digital media signal, characterized by exceptional engagement metrics across social platforms under viral hashtags like hashtag foodie call. This digital footprint does not merely reflect a passing trend. Rather, it exposes a deeper generational polarization regarding modern romance and economic survival. Within this landscape, two distinct behavioral archetypes emerge. On one side, Group A approaches the phenomenon through the lens of categorical financial opportunism, viewing romantic interactions purely as strategic transactions to secure premium goods and services without personal cost. Conversely, Group B frames these actions as a form of rationalized wealth redistribution. For this cohort, leveraging the traditional expectations of dating culture is seen as a justifiable mechanism to offset systemic economic pressures, balancing the financial scales against a wealthier demographic or a punishing cost of living. The public discourse surrounding these publications reveals a deep generational and socio-economic divide. Detractors categorize the practice as unambiguous financial opportunism and a breach of implied interpersonal contracts. Conversely, proponents frame it as a rationalized, Robin Hood-style redistribution of capital, operating within a structurally flawed economic landscape. Practitioners suggest that executing this strategy requires a sophisticated synthesis of social engineering, applied psychology, and menu manipulation. The objective is to maximize the aggregate volume and preservation utility of the bill, while maintaining sufficient interpersonal engagement and apparent romantic interest to prevent the counterpart from demanding a structural division of the expenses upon check presentation. Phase 1. The bait. The practitioner strategically guides the venue selection toward premium establishments known for extensive, high-value small plates and shareable side dishes. This establishes a structural foundation that decentralizes the meal away from individualized entrees, normalizing a high-volume multi-dish spread. Phase 2. The build-up. Upon seating, the practitioner asserts control over the ordering narrative, enthusiastically insisting on selecting items for the table. By framing the dinner as a collaborative Epicurean exploration, the counterpart's financial defense mechanisms are neutralized, facilitating a lavish, uncapped ordering sequence. Phase 3. The climax. The ordering trajectory is deliberately steered toward dense, calorically stable, and easily reheated dishes, such as rich braised meats, heavy starches, or complex stews. These specific profiles are selected because they retain structural integrity and flavor profile stability during refrigerated storage. Phase 4. The exit. The acquisition of the leftover inventory is seamlessly normalized, utilizing rationales centered on sustainability or culinary appreciation, e.g., this is far too exceptional to discard. The practitioner secures the remaining volume in premium to-go packaging, followed by a polite, prompt termination of the evening. Directly ordering the most premium individual cut of meat is a flawed tactic. It signals overt opportunism, disrupts interpersonal equilibrium, and instantly activates the counterpart's fiscal defenses, explains a 29-year-old freelance graphic designer who utilizes the strategy during periods of cyclical income contraction. The optimal approach relies on diversification and volume. By selecting multiple appetizers, several premium sides, and a dense entree under the pretense of a, quote, limited appetite coupled with broad culinary curiosity, you create a diversified portfolio of food. You consume a nominal fraction during the date, maintain high-level conversational engagement, and express polite regret regarding your limited physical capacity. The result is a fully subsidized, pre-packaged nutritional reserve for the upcoming workweek. The food and beverage industry has increasingly identified this shift in consumer behavior. Service staff and restaurant management report an observable surge in initial date pairings ordering substantial quantities of food, followed shortly thereafter by requests for extensive transport packaging. When examining the modern dating landscape, the traditional first date stands in stark contrast to the transactional phenomenon known as the free food fling. During a traditional first date, the primary interaction focuses heavily on interpersonal discovery, genuine eye contact, and building a mutual connection. This romantic intent naturally reflects in the ordering behavior, where participants opt for conservative, individualized selections and show a minimal need for packaging requirements, rarely requesting a box to transport leftovers. Financially, the fiscal dynamic is rooted in shared expectations, aligned with a joint experience, where both parties invest emotionally and socially. Conversely, the free food fling shifts the focus entirely from romance to menu optimization and preservation auditing. The interaction ceases to be about the partner, and instead becomes an exercise in maximizing material gain, characterized by ordering behavior that features a high volume of diverse appetizers and heavy sides. This objective is further supported by extensive, systematic packaging requirements aimed at securing stable items for future consumption. Ultimately, the fiscal dynamic of this interaction operates on an asymmetric liability, functioning as a platform for unilateral capital extraction, rather than a mutually shared event. The industry has termed these participants Tupperware daters, notes a head captain at a premium Manhattan establishment. The divergence between an authentic romantic engagement and an acalculated asset acquisition becomes obvious within the opening minutes. There is a distinct paradigm where one participant exhibits visible fiscal anxiety, while the other systematically queries the service staff regarding the stability and reheating profiles of specific reduction sauces. The proliferation of the free food fling is exerting a cooling effect on the broader dating market, forcing a defensive reevaluation of the traditional dinner and drinks paradigm. For demographic segments traditionally expected to internalize the financial liabilities of courtship, the heightened probability of encountering opportunistic extraction has rendered the formal dinner date a high-risk proposition. An expansive demographic survey tracking dating sentiment among active application users aged 18 to 35 highlights these shifting behavioral dynamics. Generational sentiments on courtship and fiscal risk. Ages 18 to 35, 73% perceive traditional dinner dates as outmoded. The vast majority of respondents now view a formal sit-down dinner on a first date as an unnecessary financial vulnerability rather than a romantic standard. 64% actively avoid premium dinner invitations. Nearly two-thirds of surveyed singles admit to declining or avoiding dinner invitations for initial meetings, specifically to mitigate personal fiscal liability. 41% suspect prior financial exploitation. More than 4 in 10 respondents report a high probability that they have previously been targeted as the financial anchor for a, quote, free food fling. I have implemented a categorical moratorium on dinner-based first dates, states a 32-year-old software engineer who calculated an expenditure exceeding $800 across a 2-month period on encounters that resembled subsidized catering rather than mutual introductions. The breaking point occurred when a counterpart requested a secondary premium wood-fired pizza to be placed on my bill at the conclusion of the evening, explicitly designated for her cohabitant. When the aggregate invoice reaches $250 and the encounter concludes at a transit entrance with the counterpart carrying multiple heavy bags of premium provisions, it becomes clear you are not operating as a romantic prospect. You are functioning as a localized grocery subsidy. Relationship experts and behavioral psychologists caution that deep-seated, transactional dynamics are fundamentally disrupting how humans build intimacy and establish trust. Modern courtship is increasingly being stripped of its traditional prerequisites, namely, authentic vulnerability and the slow process of mutual discovery. When these organic elements are replaced by an adversarial mindset, focused on extracting material goods or consumer experiences, the resulting environment breeds a profound, systemic cynicism toward dating and relationships as a whole. This destructive shift in relationship dynamics can be mathematically conceptualized by examining the tension between transactionality and openness. When interactions are treated as marketplace exchanges, the psychological atmosphere shifts predictably. In this conceptual formula is cynicism times transactional divided by vulnerability. C represents systemic cynicism, the pervasive belief that romantic pursuits are inherently manipulative, self-serving, and devoid of genuine connection. T represents transactional interaction frequency, the regularity with which dates are treated as business transactions, resource extractions, or utilitarian exchanges. V represents mutual vulnerability, the willingness of both parties to lower their emotional defenses, share their authentic selves, and risk rejection. As this mathematical relationship illustrates, systemic cynicism scales proportionally across the dating pool whenever transactional motivations overwhelm mutual vulnerability. When the denominator V approaches 0 and the numerator T escalates, the resulting cynicism spikes exponentially, poisoning the broader dating ecosystem. The systemic shift from connection to extraction triggers a severe psychological defense mechanism among participants. When courtship is reduced to a series of optimization strategies, the human elements of the interaction are entirely erased. Sustainable courtship requires a baseline of psychological safety and reciprocal vulnerability. When individuals systematically internalize the perception that they are being utilized as economic utilities, ambulatory ATMs, or nutritional solutions, they implement total emotional detachment. Key consequences of the transactional dating landscape: accelerated dating fatigue. The continuous cycle of high-effort, low-reward interactions leaves participants feeling emotionally exhausted and burnt out far faster than traditional dating patterns. Intensified demographic resentment. As transactional behavior becomes normalized, it fuels generalized, bitter stereotypes along gender, socioeconomic, and generational lines, deepening divisions between groups. Adversarial posturing. Conditioned by past exploitation, individuals enter initial encounters with highly defensive, hypervigilant mindsets. Instead of seeking connection, they focus on self-protection and preemptive emotional detachment. Ultimately, trends that prioritize material extraction over genuine human engagement do more than just ruin individual evenings. They systematically erode the foundational safety required for meaningful human connection. The emergence of defensive courtship standards. To safeguard capital, time, and psychological bandwidth, contemporary daters are shifting toward low-overhead, asset-protected alternatives designed to eliminate the possibility of culinary extraction. 1. The liquid-only mandate. A rigid protocol restricting initial encounters exclusively to coffee, tea, or a singular beverage at a neutral venue. While subsequent locations or nominal refreshments may be negotiated conditional on exceptional interpersonal alignment, the ordering of substantive entrees is structurally restricted. 2. Low-friction, activity-based engagements. A migration toward walking dates within public parks, museum exhibitions, or experiential venues. The structural focus of the encounter is explicitly anchored to a shared spatial experience, entirely decoupling the interaction from commercial food consumption. 3. Preemptive fiscal symmetry, the Dutch disclaimer. The adoption of radical transparency prior to the physical encounter, where individuals explicitly establish that all liabilities will be divided equally, 50-50. This strategic disclosure effectively neutralizes any underlying financial incentives for practitioners of the free food fling. The evolution of contemporary dating and social engagement can be fundamentally understood through a structural shift from a traditional paradigm to a modern defensive paradigm. Historically, courtship ritualism dictated a framework characterized by high risk and high financial overhead, typically embodied by the selection of a premium restaurant. Within this traditional matrix, the initiating party, often dictated by gendered scripts, assumes an asymmetric liability, shouldering the entirety of the upfront economic burden in pursuit of a high-yield surplus or a highly successful interpersonal outcome. However, this high-stakes model inherently carries severe downside exposure if the interaction fails to generate mutual chemistry, leading to significant financial and emotional deficits. In response to these inefficiencies, the contemporary social landscape has increasingly adopted a modern defensive paradigm, which prioritizes low risk and a symmetric financial overhead. This strategy is physically operationalized by shifting the venue from formal dining establishments to neutral, low-friction environments such as a local coffee shop or a casual bar. By utilizing these egalitarian spaces, participants establish a framework of symmetric or split costs, effectively neutralizing the financial pressure and eliminating expectations of transactional obligation. While this defensive posture yields a zero-subsidy potential, meaning neither participant is heavily investing in or underwriting the other's experience, it drastically mitigates individual vulnerability. Ultimately, this modern approach reallocates focus away from high-capital posturing and toward efficient, low-liability compatibility screening. While defenders rationalize the practice as an innovative survival mechanism or a victimless adaptation to an unforgiving macroeconomic climate, the long-term societal liabilities may ultimately eclipse the cost of a premium restaurant bill as individuals construct increasingly sophisticated defenses and rigid transactional boundaries to insulate themselves from exploitation. The fundamental human experience of building connection over a shared meal is transforming into a rare, high-risk luxury. Well, folks, that brings us to the final course of another eye-opening episode of 21st Century Dating Decoded. Tonight, we pulled back the curtain on the free food fling, that ambiguous, ethically gray territory of modern courtship, where romance takes a back seat to a complimentary three-course meal. We dissected this phenomenon from both sides of the table. We analyzed the strategic playbook of serial foodie callers, who view a first date less as an introduction and more as a culinary scouting mission. Conversely, we gave voice to the palpable frustration of those left holding the receipt, the ones left wondering if they were auditioning for a romantic partner or simply financing a stranger's sudden craving for a premium cut of Wagyu beef. If tonight's discourse proved anything, it's that the contemporary dating economy has become increasingly transactional, occasionally resembling a market trade more than a human connection. As we navigate these choppy, unpredictable waters, keep these foundational principles in mind. Intent instantly alters the outcome. There is a monumental, non-negotiable difference between a date that simply lacks chemistry and an encounter designed from its inception to be a subsidized dining experience. The former is an honest gamble inherent to dating. The latter is a calculated hustle. Clarity is your best currency. The most efficient way to de-weaponize the free food fling is to eliminate ambiguity before the menus ever arrive. Establishing expectations early protects both your emotional bandwidth and your bank account. Guard your time. not just your wallet. For those being taken advantage of, the true deficit isn't just the capital spent, it's the emotional energy squandered. For those treating dates like an upscale soup kitchen, remember that a reputation for opportunism attaches quickly within a hyper-connected, digital dating ecosystem. Look, there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to enjoy an exceptional meal. But if you find yourself more excited about the truffle fries than the human being sitting across from you, it's time to step away from the apps and order takeout. True connection cannot be swindled. If you want a partner, invest the time. If you just want a steak, pay for it yourself. A massive thank you to our live chat contributors and everyone who dialed in with their dating horror stories tonight. You can access the comprehensive show notes, resource links, and our official date night vibe check checklist at thespeedmingle.com. Until next time, keep your standards high, your intentions crystal clear, and maybe, just maybe, suggest getting coffee for that first date. Navigating the ecosystem with Speed Mingle, modality, availability, and scope. Speed Mingle is strategically positioned to offer the efficient frontier for this new era of interpersonal connection. Our platform provides a sophisticated suite of tools designed to minimize social risk, reduce wasted capital, and maximize opportunities for genuine engagement, moving users beyond aimless swiping toward substantive relationships. We are actively transforming digital courtship through 4 distinct, intentional, and highly efficient modalities. The Speed Mingle ecosystem is built around a singular core objective: mitigating risk and maximizing authenticity in the modern dating market by replacing shallow digital habits with meaningful connections. To achieve this, the platform offers 4 distinct modalities tailored to different comfort levels and preferences. Speed Mingle Anywhere, available now. For those seeking convenience without sacrificing genuineness, this feature facilitates authentic, face-to-face video interactions directly from the comfort of a user's private setting. By prioritizing real-time visual conversation, it effectively bypasses the emotional exhaustion and pitfalls of anonymous text swiping. Speed Mingle Social, launching this week in select markets. Transitioning from the digital screen to the real world, this modality offers relaxed, non-hosted weekly gatherings at established local venues. It is designed specifically for singles looking for spontaneous, low-stakes socialization in a casual, comfortable environment. Speed Mingle Happenings, in real life / happening now. For a more structured real-world experience, these meticulously curated, dynamic, activity-based events are designed to foster natural engagement. By centering the experience around a shared activity, participants can build genuine rapport without relying on the awkward crutch of conventional small talk. Speed Mingle 1-to-1, launching summer 2026. For the most targeted approach to romance, this upcoming feature provides personalized, low-pressure matches with local singles. Because every participant's profile is thoroughly pre-vetted, users can engage with the confidence that there is already a high baseline of structural compatibility. Our commitment is to offer diverse asset classes for human connection, preventing users from concentrating all their emotional investments into a single, inefficient strategy. Whether you prefer the streamlined velocity of our premier online platform, a curated group event, a personalized introduction, or a spontaneous social gathering, Speed Mingle offers a tailored approach for every dating preference. A diversified and successful relational portfolio is always predicated upon intentionality and genuine connection. Are you prepared to formalize your participation? Ensure you never miss an episode, an insight, or a market update by engaging with our platform across multiple networks. Engage and subscribe. Secure your access to all future segments directly at 21stCenturyDatingDecoded.riverside.com. Listen on audio platforms. Find your preferred audio match on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, or Deezer. Watch on Speed Mingle TV. Access premium video content on YouTube, Roku, Amazon Fire TV by searching for Speed Mingle TV Network within the Apps and Games interface, or via the HRB TV Network, our parent company's dedicated broadcast channel. If you valued tonight's episode and found our discourse on abandoning prescribed dating narratives informative, please consider taking the following actions to support the show. Activate the subscription button immediately to stay updated on upcoming releases. Provide a 5-star review to assist other intentional daters in discovering our program. Share this link with an acquaintance who continues to utilize an outdated, poorly illuminated corporate headshot, enhanced with an expired digital filter. Forward it directly to their inbox. Their future romantic prospects will thank you. Furthermore, we encourage you to secure your reservation at an upcoming Speed Mingle event in your municipality. Take the initiative to mix, match, and mingle to enhance your social portfolio. Thank you for your continued listenership and viewership of 21st Century Dating Decoded. Until our next episode, remain deliberate, protect your emotional equity, and consistently date with a defined purpose.
Thank you for listening
and watching on the new Speed Mingle TV network.